Hi, this is Stacia, and I wanted to go over an introduction to the Sicilian Sveshnikov. So this opening was featured 4 times in the 2018 Chess World Championships, played by Magnus Carlson with the black pieces, in games 8, 10, 12, and I believe 14. So definitely caught my attention, and so I thought I would sort of pick apart this opening and just follow the main line of it, like I like to do for intros, and see if we can learn something. So the signature move is this E5 move, move 5, which looks anti-positional. It creates a big hole on D5, which is a critical square in the Sicilian, and it also creates a backwards D pawn. But as you'll see, black gets compensation for this by obtaining the bishop pair and some center control and some active play. So, okay, let's first of all look at how we get to this. All right, to go into the Sicilian, white plays E4 and black plays C5. This is the most challenging move against 1E4, with the idea of stopping white from playing D4 right away with a flank pawn. White plays knight F3, fighting for that D4 square and preparing the D4 push. And now the normal move is actually D6. But if you're going into a Sveshnikov, you can play knight C6 here. This is the second most popular move. And this also does fight for D4. Develops a piece. How could it be bad? This does allow bishop B5, which would be the Rossolimo. This was played by Fabiano earlier in the World Championship, but he didn't manage to get any wins out of it. Interestingly enough, too, when I checked this move in ChessBase, it shows that it has a slightly higher winning percentage for white than the other lines. So maybe there's something to the Rossolimo. I don't really know. But, okay. After knight C6, white still has enough to push through a D4, so that is what happens. So D4 is played. This is essentially a pawn break. Black takes the pawn. This is the whole idea of playing C5, is to take this. And now knight takes D4. Okay, and so a couple things have happened already. One is that black now has a 2-to-1 in the center compared to white's 1. But white has center control, a centralized knight, but the knight is vulnerable to this E5 push if black ever wants to go for that. Also note that taking the knight is a bad move because the queen comes to the center of the board. And this would normally be bad because of the knight coming here, but there is no knight. So the queen's actually kind of annoying here. All right, so going back, after knight takes D4 this way, black now plays knight F6. This attacks the E pawn. And now really the only decent move for white is knight C3, defending it. The downside to knight C3 is you are blocking the C pawn. I mean, really, white would love to play C4 at some point and just have a really nice Marazzi-Bind type structure. But the knight comes to C3 and blocks that. And now we're on move 5, and E5 is played. So this is the Sveshnikov. There's only one move more popular, and it's the move D6. So this is another line that you'll probably see if you're going into this. But we're going to focus on e5. Whoops. Okay. So we're going to follow the main line. White really only has one good move here. One excellent move, I should say. And that's the move knight d to b5. Looks kind of funny. It looks like, why is the knight here? But there is an immediate threat of knight to d6 check. So like, if black were to play a bad move, let's say a6, trying to kick the knight would come in, check. This pretty much forces this capture, and the queen comes in. And the problem with this for black is that, you know, maybe queen e7. The problem for black now is that they have lost the bishop pair and white has gained it. And they still have this anti-positional structure. So this is actually a good game for white if this were to happen. So this knight d6 check idea is a threat that black must deal with. And the only decent way to stop it is d6. Notice that black would love to play d5. You know, if black could get d5 in, they'd be doing excellent. But that is not possible. White has full control of that square. So d6 it is. Now, if the knight were to take, it would simply be captured. And now white has an interesting move now, bishop g5. So this develops a piece, and it pins the knight, but really what's happening is white is seizing the d5 square. It's all about the d5 square. White intends to actually trade this knight off in order to sink a knight on d5 permanently. All right, so here black will now play the tempo move a6 since the knight cannot move forward. And the knight has to drop back to a3. A pretty sad square for the knight, truth be told. And this is part of black's compensation in this opening. And now the move b5 is played. So b5 is actually the move that Sveshnikov came up with. So this is his innovation in this line, and it is the best move. So this controls the c4 square, which this knight would love to go to. And it also threatens b4, so forking the knights. So pretty powerful tempo move. Previously, black would play bishop e6, which is called, let's see, that is called the bird variation. Okay, so how should white respond to this threat? Well, bishop takes f6 is a tempo move, so we're hitting the queen. And what's interesting about this is queen takes f6 is actually not the best. It looks like it should be, but knight d5, the queen comes back to d8, and this does prevent black's pawns from being shattered, but now white could play c4, or even bishop takes b5 is possible. Actually, I didn't see this before, but the computer's pointing it out. So after a takes b5, knight takes b5, maybe this is a way you can play. Queen a5 check. Computer gives c3. This looks quite crazy. You can't take this because of knight c7 check. So, wow, tactics are in the air. But, so this is one possible thing that could happen. And c4 is the other one. And again, there's tactics here as well because, like, let's say b4, which looks pretty natural. Well, in this case, white has the move queen a4, and now we're hitting the undefended knight. Notice that's the downside of pushing your b pawn. And we're also hitting this pawn. So white's probably in trouble, or I mean black's probably in trouble here. If they try to take the knight, the problem is we take here with check, and the natural looking move bishop d7, defending the rook, actually doesn't work because there's queen takes, knight check, and white has won the game. Okay, so let's go back. So after b5 and bishop takes f6, g takes f6 is considered to be forced because we can't go into those lines where the queen takes. And now white gets their wish, a permanent knight on the d5 square. So this powerful knight on d5 and black's shattered kingside pawns is basically compensated by black's bishop pair and center control. So the final move I'm going to show is the move f5. This concludes 10 moves of the main line. And I do want to just discuss this position from here a little bit, just so we kind of know what will happen from this point. So basically this bishop usually comes to the d3 square. Both sides will castle kingside. And black has two main plans. So it seems to me one of the plans is to take here and play f5 with this other pawn, giving black some really nice center control. And maybe play on the king side, and white will try to play on the queen side. The other plan that black could do is play bishop g7 and knight e7 and try to trade off this knight. And white basically needs to coordinate. This knight's really good, but this other one is a problem. So white needs to solve this. So one idea for white is to play, like c3 and knight c2 and get this knight to the e3 square where it could replace this knight. And then, yeah, so bishop d3 and castles kingside. And it seems to me these are really interesting games. If you haven't seen the chess championship games, they don't follow the main line exactly. I will show you where it deviates very quickly. So right here at this moment is when white would play bishop g5 with the idea of trading this and sinking a knight in d5. But Fabiano chose repeatedly the second most popular move, which is the knight d5. And so, and this is supposed to be more positional, I guess, although it still looks crazy to me. And Magnus Carlson liked the move knight b8 here. And here, white has gained a queenside pawn majority. And a pesky pawn on d5. And black has, some nice pawns over here. So basically white pushes their queen side and black pushes their king side. And it's a very interesting game. And both sides castle king side. So those are very interesting games. I would recommend taking a look at those if you are able. And I will do a final recap as I often do. Just a quick summary. Let's just fly through these moves. So e4, c5 Sicilian defense, knight f3, knight c6, second most popular move here, d4, takes, black has gained a 2-to-1 in the center here, knight f6 attacking the e pawn, we defend, but we block the c pawn, and now e5, the Sveshnikov. The knight now jumps to b5, threatening to come to d6 with check. Black stops this with d6, and now bishop g5 is the main line. So intending to trade off the knight and jump a knight into d5 permanently, Black has this tempo move a6. This forces the knight to a bad square, and now b5. So threatening b4. White responds by taking the knight. Black is pretty much forced to take with a g-pawn, doubling the f-pawns. And now the move knight d5. And now Black will play f5, intending to trade and play this f5 move. And White is going to look to solve their issue with the bad knight, playing c3, maybe knight c2, knight e3. So I hope this was a good introduction to the Sicilian Sveshnikov. I think I learned something, and I hope you did too. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.